Coming up on this episode of the Spiro Podcast.
It's really a tale of inventory. It really is. Watching the inventory, paying attention to the inventory tells a lot of stories. Are you in the buyers, the sellers, kind of a balanced market?
Welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. With your hosts, Todd Craig and Craig Magrum.
Hi, and welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. Spiro is a software platform. It's designed to help you manage your day-to-day real estate media business and really help it grow and scale as well. Welcome to another episode. I'm Craig Magrum, host of the podcast. Always glad to have you along. If you're new to the podcast, this is all about the business of real estate media. Lots of great resources out there on the creative side of what we do, gear recommendations, how to compose shots, all that good stuff. But we want to help you build a solid business as well. So welcome to it. Well, hopefully you all had a great Easter and Resurrection Sunday. We record this on the Friday before, and so we're just praying that you had a blessed time with you and your family. All right, let me introduce our co-host and Spiro founder and owner, Todd Craig. Welcome back, Todd.
Craig, it's fabulous to be here. Another Friday. I say this every week. They're flying by. All good things. I love this episode, this segment that we're doing, because I think it's always good to see what happened and analyze in our business. And Shannon has such great insight to the real estate industry. And then we're going to look ahead a little bit. So this is where you take off your photographer cap and you put on your business owner cap. We're going to give you some insights, some things you should be thinking about. So this is right up my alley.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, Shannon Landers, our guest this week. And she'll be giving us a recap of the first quarter and looking a little bit into second quarter, what to expect as well. But before we dive into that, Todd, Spiro Updates. Man, things just keep rolling along.
Yes, we pushed another update this last week. And in that, this was more, I call it a quality of life update. So all the little things, that have been asked for, and they're definitely valid. There's two different types of updates we can do. We can either make the current features a little bit more customized to what you all want. Buttons, this does this, that does that. Can this not open in a new tab? We can do all those things and we're happy to. It just doesn't give you or your clients new things. So we always try to manage between optimizing and giving you new. So this last cycle, we're calling it cycle 10, did a lot of that optimization for you. So I'm not going to go over it here, but a lot of the little things you've been asking for, they are in there. I'll give you a quick example. Many of you said, hey, can I call the images on the download page? Can I call the two sizes something different? Being a low res and a high res. We used to call it web res and high res. But some of you say, hey, I want to call that MLS. And that's a fabulous thing. We'll make that change at WOW, our real estate media company, because agents go on and in the US, they know what the MLS is. And maybe globally, you want to call those things something different. So that's all in there. You can not display an unbranded link to the property website. So a lot of our global users, they say, hey, we don't care about unbranded. Our clients don't even know what that means. Can we just remove it? Yes, you can hide that now. So there's a list of probably 15 things like that went in, and we're excited to put those out there. A quick 20-second on cycle 11, that's when you're going to get the new goodies. Okay. So we're going to wrap the box up. You get to open it up, take off the bow and pull out the inside. That is going to be a brand new marketing content interface and functionality. That's going to include reels as well. That's going to include analytics, a beautiful analytics page that you can put your homeowners, the agents can put the homeowners on subscription to show them how the media is doing. That's going to be a new property website, many things like that. So you're going to get a lot of new stuff in cycle 11. That's going to be towards the end of May is when you're going to see that.
Excellent. Lots of fun, exciting things coming.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot one more, Craig, really quickly here. Just an update on a big change we made at WOW Video Tours, our real estate media company. We have officially switched every job over to AutoHDR. So we made the switch. We had been doing a lot of jobs and we love the look of what it's doing. And we've officially switched everything over. And the way that looks, if you're saying, hey, Todd, how does that streamline? Well, what AutoHDR is, it's AI editing for your photos. It's a 30-minute turnaround from AutoHDR. And we did a segment last week was with Matt, the owner of AutoHDR. So if you want to know more about it, go back and listen to that. It's great to get to know him. Long story short, basically what our workflow looks like is our photographers get home. They drag the unedited into a folder on Dropbox that Spiro automatically creates. Spiro does a checking algorithm to see when the upload's complete. When that upload's complete from the photographer, Spiro automatically sends the images to AutoHDR. AutoHDR takes them, processes them. When it is done with those images, it sends them back to the Dropbox folder on your Dropbox account. Spiro pulls those images in and they're sitting in the gallery. So the cool thing is like when I log on to WOW and I look at it like 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, we have final images sitting there that were done that day. So that is really neat. It's not a perfect system. Nothing ever is. We made a ton of changes with our human editors, but it was time to do this. The overall quality is fabulous. And there's a few adjustments that our QC team catches, and they always have caught a few or a lot of adjustments pending the way the editor felt that day or the way they edited or the toughness of the image. So we've made the change. We ripped off the Band-Aid. It's a fabulous thing. We discovered some things. We made some efficiencies things. AutoHDR, Matt has made some updates, and he and we will continue to do so. So I just want to let you all know, because a lot of you ask like, hey, what does WOW do? What does WOW do? What does WOW do? Wanted to let you know. If you want to find out more, if you want to try it out, AutoHDR.com/Spiro. We'll put the link below. That will get you 30 free credits, and a full disclaimer. I do get a little kickback if you click the link. If you don't like me, don't click the link. Just go straight to AutoHDR.
Thank you for the disclaimer there.
Hey, I want to be, I got to lay down at night and go to bed. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. All right. Thanks for those updates, Todd. All right. Well, we're not going to waste any time here because lots of things happening here in 2025 in the realm of real estate photography and videography, in real estate in general. And our resident expert on the market, Shannon Landers. Hey, welcome to the podcast, Shannon.
Shannon!
Thanks, guys. Always fun to be here with you boys, especially on a day like today is Good Friday and the upcoming fun holiday of Easter. So
yeah, which is actually in the past by the time people are watching this.
Yes, it sure is. Yeah, so we hope you all had a great Easter.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
for those of you that have not met Shannon, I think many of you met Shannon. If you haven't, please meet her. She is fabulous. She is our VP of product at Spiro. She is helping with everything and with growth. Wanted to take you back a lot of years with WOW. I hired Shannon as a consultant. I worked with Shannon. She was the director of recruiting at our largest client, and she was a rock star, like recruited 100 agents a year. And if you don't know anything about recruiting agents, like that is that's an insane amount. There's probably you could probably count on your fingers and toes of the people in the world that do that a year. And long story short, we had worked together for many years there, did some projects together, and I was growing WOW. And Shannon and I had lunch. I'm like, Shannon, I need your help to build a sales team. I want to grow this company. And she's like, this is a cool idea. I can help you do this. And so she came on as a consultant. We built the program. And when she was done, she said, hey, you really need me to make this like I can blow this. Like you can do this, but you really need me because I can blow this thing up. I said, boom, tell me what you want. Let's do it. We figured that out. The rest is history. She helped us grow and scale WOW. We still use many things today that she built for us at WOW, and she gave us a great foundation there. So then she went and she blew up a real estate media company or a real estate company. So it was a Keller Williams and helped that grow. And then we had lunch again. It's like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? How are the kids? And then it's like, okay, why are we sitting in this room? Like, hey, let's go build something. I'm like, I got this thing that's kind of cool. Do you want to come on? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? She's like, this is what it needs to be like. Let's do it. And here she is.
Yeah. No,
that was a run-on sentence. I'm sorry, but welcome.
It truly has been an adventure. And it's a point and it's a testament to what we talk about all the time of building relationships. We've built a relationship. I got to meet you and Nick very early on. So I've known both of you, now since 2013. Right? Is that right? Yeah. So, and we had that relationship and, they always come back, I even think of Matt with AutoHDR, like that was a relationship that, why do we go to Vegas? Well, we go to Vegas to, obviously talk to all the photographers, but we also build relationships that change our futures too there. So you just never know. So that's just a thing in sales. You just never know what's going to come. So be open to what could happen. So, but the market, oh my gosh, the market is probably driving a few people crazy. And I'm probably all markets at this point. Not just the real estate market,
yeah,
but
no doubt.
I will make this disclaimer that everything I say is nothing I'm going to say is political. Okay. I'm going to put that out there right now. There are things happening that can affect the real estate market. We will talk about them in a general sense, not in a I lean this way or I lean that way sense. So just everybody want that kind of disclaimer out there that there just are economic things happening that could change what we look like in real estate this year. So, or it may not. So it's, that's some of the fun stuff that we'll talk about, but it's definitely been an interesting Q1. Sales numbers, not quite where we thought they would be, but nobody's kind of really super concerned. Something to think about, these numbers lag a lot. So as an example, if you go to NAR, which by all means, all of you can go nar.realtor, and you can get a lot of these statistics that I have for free. They're there. I'm a member, so I can get more, right, as a realtor, but a lot of these stats are there. And so we don't have March's complete stats out yet. They'll come on like the 25th, I think, of April is when we get those out. But just looking at January and February, sales are down.
And Shannon, we're talking about I should have set this up a little bit better. My apologies. We're talking about we're looking at the real estate industry.
Yes.
So of course, because it correlates to real estate media, but Yeah,
absolutely. And we're going to talk about that. Everything I talk about today, I'm going to point it to in a direction as a media company, what that means, right? Or what you should do, or what you might, want to be thinking about. Okay. So, we had in February, we had 4.26 million sales. They seasonally adjust that rate. That's a little caveat they do there, because obviously we know in real estate, it's very seasonal. January's lower, right? Summer months are higher and so forth. But year over year, that puts us down 1.2% in the unit number of it, right? We're talking, dollar volume is what we're talking about right now. So 4.26 million in dollar volume. And that's down, but not by much. Now, if you want to look at units are down. Like if I just take Dayton, Ohio, we were down 16% in units.
Wow. In units. Okay.
In units. So that unit would be one side of the real estate transaction. So we have to remember, in real estate, the transaction has two sides. It has the homeowner that's selling and the buyer that's buying the home. Okay. So you have the sellers and the buyers. And so each transaction technically has two sides. So when we talk about units, we're talking about one of those sides, and then they all add up to all the units. Okay.
Interesting.
Yes. So, and then the dollar volume is the actual final sales price of that home all added up. So when we talk about dollar volume, that's the two difference. And it's important to look at both volume and units, especially as a real estate agent, because we actually get paid on volume. We get paid for units, but we get paid on volume.
Yeah, that's a little bit different for photographers, right? as to where photographers, the units are probably more important to us because that's potential. Although your average order value is going to be higher typically with a higher. So they both go together.
They kind of they do. And well, and what's interesting, if you really think about it for the volume in real estate, and this happened many years, our units were a little bit down, but our volume was so much higher because the prices of houses. So 2022 is like a fun year to look at, 21 and 22 for this reason, because units were technically down. Well, if the final 22, they were high, but units would be down, but the volume was up. So the agents were still making more money, right? That's kind of the correlation to understand. Like I could go do 10 less units if I double my average sale price that I'm selling, and I'm going to double my money and do less work, right? That's why do agents want the luxury market? That reason in itself, right? They can do less listings, make more money, have more time, be happier. So that's how that all relates. And in the luxury listings, right, as a media company, that's where you want to get into because that's where they will spend the money. They know the value of the media that they get there because they need the content to push out for their luxury listings to get more luxury listings, right? Those are the agents who really do well at luxury listings, really figure it out that that's the sweet spot. All things happen better there, and they will have a nice marketing budget. So the really interesting thing, though, about this whole market right now is inventory is still a problem. So inventory has been rising. You know, inventory is the amount of houses we have to sell, right? The available active units that we have to sell. In February, we ended, and this is nationally in the US. I do have some Canadian numbers I'm going to chat about too, guys. So, but right now, we are talking mainly US. But there was 3 months of inventory in February, and right now we're hovering about 3.5 months of inventory. So what we're seeing is new listings come on the market. Now, remember, I say this with a huge caveat that real estate is local. So some of you might be like, Shannon, I don't know what you're talking about because that is not what's happening in my market. And that is very true. It might not be happening in your market. Okay. Because you've got to look at your local stats. Remember, look up your local board of realtors. They have housing stats that they put out as well. And you can get those at your fingertips to kind of understand. Or, like I always say, take your favorite agent out to coffee and ask them what's happening in the market and understand it from that perspective, or a broker you're trying to sign or something like that. So 3.5 months of inventory, what does that mean?
Yes. This is something you taught me.
Yes. What does it mean? Are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market still?
I'd say sellers.
This is a seller's market.
Seller's market. It's still, and that's what we're seeing. The median. Okay, so think about this. Year over year, we're down 1.2% in sales volume. Okay. Now in units, we're down more. Okay. They don't put out the unit number, so I can't get it nationally, and I don't want to speak to that. But if I think of Dayton being down 15%, and we're the Midwest and we're in a good market still, we're probably 10 to 16% roughly across the US down in units. Okay. But volume's only down 1% because the median sales price is up 3.8%. Prices are still there. Now, some markets prices have corrected for sure. We're seeing a trend in Florida actually, on the coastline with condos and price reductions.
Yeah.
You're seeing quite a bit of price reductions there. So if you're looking to buy a condo in Florida as a vacation spot, now's the time. Okay.
We were both just there, separate times, but there are signs everywhere. We went to different locations. They're everywhere, and some of that is, like you mentioned, local because of the hurricanes. So you can only weather so many hurricanes as an owner of a property in Florida before you say, okay, I'm out. Like I'm not going to rebuild this time, or I'm not going to go through another one. So that's a little bit, a couple things stacked there.
Especially because if you look at the map, it's definitely the west side, right? It's the Gulf side that is really, really red on price reductions, but they're still coming on the market. So so that's when you start to see as that inventory increases, prices are going to decrease because the demand is not there, right? Real estate's a simple supply and demand equation. There's nothing difficult about the equation. So again, different markets, Florida and Texas, I would say, are definitely seeing different things. Now, if you think about Florida and Texas for the last 3 to 4 years, what's been happening? Tons of people have been moving to Texas and Florida. Tons, okay? They have seen the most migration to their states than any other state, okay? So you had that influx of the people that's kind of slowed down. All the markets are going to change for those reasons. So again, just kind of understanding what's happening is the key to know. And again, why does this matter? Well, how does a media company make money? From listings, right? Listings is the bread and butter of what we do. Okay. Now, obviously, we can do a ton more. There's a lot of other things, but that is definitely the bread and butter. So, as we're seeing, listings are coming on the market. So, inventory, again, is rising. It's nationally at 3.5 months, but we were down to 2 months of inventory at one time, which was really unhealthy, very, very unhealthy in so many ways for the market. So inventory is rising, but it's not rising as fast as it needs to be for us to all of a sudden be in a buyer's market in a national sense. Okay.
Yeah. Shannon, can I ask a quick, sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
I think our listeners will love to have this because I know it's a nice thing to pull out of your pocket in a conversation with a broker or a realtor and say, hey, I heard inventory is at about 3.5 months in the first quarter. Has that changed since? And they're going to look at you like, how do you even know what this means? And just so you understand what it means, Shannon, can you explain how the months, like what 3.5 months, 3 months, whatever it is, what is added up to assume that is, and then just let everybody know what a neutral market is, how many months that is.
Yes. So, and first off, the calculation of inventory, how they calculate it is there's absorption rates and all these other things. And I won't dive into it because honestly, it's quite boring. And the system just calculates it for you. So it's like, you don't need to worry about it. All of us can log in and we get the data. But essentially what that's saying is with all the houses on the market that we currently have, if we sold every one of them, it would take 3.5 months to sell that inventory. That's kind of essentially what it means. And on a grand scale of 0 to 12 months of inventory is kind of the parameters we look at. 0 to 6 months is considered a seller's market. Right?
All the way up to 6 months.
All the way. And
wow.
You could say experts will say 5 to 7 months is balance. They'll kind of say that, right? You get, right, imagine you have 0 and you have 12. And as you get to the middle, then that 5 to 7 tends to be a bit more balanced of a market. So that means there's kind of no competitive edge either one way or the other. Okay. And then above 6 is considered a buyer's market. Okay. So again, understanding your local inventory number, asking them, right? Hey, nationally, I heard inventory is 3.5 months. What does the inventory look like here locally? What are you guys seeing? That's a great question to ask them. Very open-ended question. They will be like,
how do you know what that means?
That's what they'll say, And many of our media people are realtors. So I know you guys have access to this information and you understand kind of what we're talking about. Because this, again, these numbers are going to drive what the opportunity is, right? It always drives what the opportunity is. But I will say there's many very smart people, much smarter than me, that are very perplexed with our market. The rising inventory, the still rising prices, but sales that there's just all these things happening that are really interesting. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is we're seeing days on market increase. We've been seeing this for a while, but the sales still happen. price drops are now normalized again, I would call it. We're seeing 25 to 30% of listings will have price drops. That's a good thing. Nothing wrong with that. But I think what we've determined here is people have finally gotten over the interest rates. They've
I wondered if you would say
realized
that.
it's been over a year and a half. They're finally saying, okay, right? So a really good kind of thought is just to say, think of the direction of the interest rates, not necessarily the number. So if interest rates are rising, demand will fall back, right? People will kind of pause. But if they start lowering, then people make moves. They make decisions. They get in the market. So it really determines the motivation of the buyers, of just the direction. The up arrow or the down arrow is going to talk about, the motivation of the buyers. So that's kind of interesting to think about. So as we do have some interest rates dropping, in hopes that maybe we will drop more, that will bring some of that demand back in the market. But this demand has been through the last 3 years. This demand has been looking for homes the last 3 years. What they have determined is that they don't have to make a quick decision. They don't, because there is some inventory coming on the market. It might not be as fast or as healthy as what we want to see, but it is happening. So at the end of the day, what that means is as that motivation stays, agents will still be able to get people to list their house. And that means listings will bring us dollars, right?
Nice. Mm-hmm.
That at the end of the day. We do have, some unpredictable things happening just in general. Here's that disclaimer part. There's 3 to 4 things that really kind of matter in real estate. And if we just break it down, the price of real estate, the cost of money, and employment. Those are the 3 things that really drive the industry and the market. And right now we have just some general economic risk with the unpredictable policy of the trade policy right now. That's obviously causing havoc in the regular markets. So that feeds into the interest rates. Natural disasters. I don't know about you guys, but my insurance is up 60% for my homeowner's insurance. So that's something to think about there. And then international conflict, right? We have uncertainty wrapped around, the Middle East and Ukraine and those areas. So those are going to be some things that kind of help underbelly. Right, the underbelly of the market is going to kind of see those things, but people behave off that direction of the interest rate. So, and overall, if you kind of talk about just sentiment, right? Realtor sentiment, buyer sentiment, it's not low. Realtors feel good. They're able to go out and get listings, right? Now, there's always the agents that don't work as hard as they should to stay busy. So that's on them. But if those agents are really in the market, they're really moving forward and getting listings and getting business. So kind of to talk about mortgage rates, this is just another interesting factor as well. 74% of mortgages have rates of 5% or less. So, and this breaks down even more. 22% are 3% or less. 34% live in the 3 to 4 range. And then 4 to 5 is 18%. 5 to 6 is 10%. And 6% or higher is 16%.
Interesting. So 50% of mortgages are 4 or under, those bottom 2. Yeah. So if you think about that, if I'm sitting at, I think it has a 2 point something, 2.8.
Yeah. You ain't selling that house.
No, I'm not selling. I don't care. I'll add on to the sucker before I sell it because I'm going to buy half the house for the same mortgage.
Yes. So those are some things. Now, 40% of our homeowners own their home outright.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and the baby boomers are that big generation that have these
Mm-hmm.
houses. So if I'm an agent, I'm going to go hang out with all the old people,
For sure.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because they've got houses, and honestly, we need their inventory. We need that. So builders is another piece of this. And Craig, I know you look like you're going to ask a question. So let me just kind of builders, their costs are kind of complex right now, right? That is something with the tariffs and that kind of stuff. So they're not like eager because they've already been having just compression on the dollars. They profit compression anyway. That's been happening. Some of them hoarded materials, so that they were kind of smart, but also caused a problem when they hoarded the materials for building. But you are seeing a lot of builders to keep moving and keep making money. They're offering buy down rates. So you could, and that new home market really affects the existing home market, right? When you think about it, because at the new home market, if they're getting 3, 4, 5% rates because they're getting buy downs, somebody's going to look at that new build over that existing home. Right. And the prices of the new builds really help set the prices per square foot for the existing home sales.
Oh,
right?
interesting. Mm-hmm.
Because you're
and
not.
if they're discounting,
Yeah. So
it discounts the price per square foot of existing or,
yeah.
your other market.
Yep. So a nice niche in this business is you get really close to some of these builders and do their marketing, do their content, make agreements with them, right? Because they want to make sure they're marketing these houses and getting them sold, and they want to really be in hit that new or the existing market and kind of crush it per se from their perspective. I get it. I don't blame them. So if you're looking at 2 houses, one's brand new and it's $270 a square foot, call it. I know in some markets that's like insanely low. And you have an existing home that's $250 and it's 25 years old. Where do you
Everybody goes, hey, what's the roof like? What's the furnace like? What is the foundation? I'm going to have to update this. Like, oh, I'm going to pay more, even though the price tag's less for the existing home. I'm going to pay more. And honestly, let's be honest. When you walk into that new home, it's like, oh, it's brand new.
Yeah.
I don't know what they put in there, but it's probably illegal. That scent.
I know. It's that fresh paint. It's that fresh wood. It's all that fresh flooring.
The carpet.
Just to remember, though, when you buy a brand new home, it still has problems. So
yeah, that's a good point.
It's a joke we always say, like every home's going to have problems. But yes, people do, especially first-time home buyers, right? They want turnkey stuff. They a lot of them don't. They want to get the most for their money. So they definitely want to, do that. And so they like those new homes, but new home prices have been kind of out of reach for them. So kind of interesting fact to that, in 2024, first-time home buyers fell to only 24% of our sales. Typically, it's 35 to 40% of our sales is first-time home buyers.
Interesting.
That's a huge drop.
Huge correlation to mortgage rates.
Oh, yeah. The mortgage rates went up. They couldn't buy as much. They're like, hey, I'm going to rent for another year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes sense.
It makes sense. It's we're still averaging about 10 weeks on a home search. So I've got some other interesting stuff we can get into. We can kind of wrap up. Craig, did you have a question? I'm so sorry I cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I was just trying to think about how to couch it in terms of what we do as real estate media companies. But that boomer question of the boomers sitting on owned houses, they don't have the mortgage. How do you get any sort of activity in that segment when they don't have a motivation to sell? It's like, yeah, I don't have a mortgage. Why would I sell? Do we just wait that out?
Yeah, I think naturally that starts to happen because they can't, depends on what kind of house they're in, right? If they've got a 3-story house and they can't walk anymore upstairs, Right. So many, what happens with those is they downsize, or they go into other families' homes or nursing homes or what. Yeah, it's kind of that natural transition. So it is, being there as an agent, kind of being there and just being in the know. We have many agents that work with nursing homes and different things like that. They engage with them, so they kind of get introduced to people that hopefully they can help sell that home. There's a lot of transition agents where they really focus on helping older people transition out of their home into wherever they're going, and getting them the most for their house, before they move on. So that'll kind of naturally happen, Craig. Um, we in the US take care of our elderly completely different than anywhere in the world. So that's kind of just an interesting note. But I think as they age up, as the baby boomers really age up, we're going to start to see movement in that market. But what's nice with them having their homes completely owned, if they want to get in that ranch or that, smaller house, they have the ability to do so very easily, because they're going to be able to sell and buy and hopefully be clean and not have anything out of pocket, when they sell. So, although it does depend on how they've kept their house up. To Todd's point, how's the roof? How's the HVAC? How's all this? Now, remember, when you buy a house, not everything has to be new. We fight this out there big time. It just has to be habitable. Habitable is the key word. Functioning, working. When I bought my house, my HVAC system was the original from 1971 HVAC system.
And it will outlive you too.
I kept trying to break it. It would not break. Man, that thing was a hoss, but it wouldn't push enough sears out. So it kept burning through AC units. I was like, I can't do this. But man, it worked great, but it was like 60% efficient. But yeah, that thing, we had to kill it before it died. So anyway, fun to think about.
Just to give everybody a quick idea, just the average age of a baby boomer, I just Googled it, is 69 to 70 years old. So this is my parents. My parents are both those ages. And so this is the age of a baby boomer. And if you think about, like, my mother right now, my father fell about a year ago. He's been in a nursing home since then, trying to recondition back. My mom's at home. House is too big, yard's too big. She just remodeled some of it because she wanted it fresh. And it's like, okay. And I'm like, Mom, do you want to go to a smaller house? She's like, oh, we're good here. I'm going to just make it how I want it. So, that is, I think all of us on this conversation, this are parents. It's probably not for some of you, but that's 69 to 70 years old is the average age of that baby boomer generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that kind of goes with, sorry, one more, that goes with realtors too, the real estate market. I mean, the real estate market as realtors, the young realtors are waiting for the baby boomers to retire.
Yes.
Shannon, you just gave me a name and we won't say it here, but I used to shoot for her. So that was a long time ago, y'all. Like,
yes.
and I was like, I think she's going to retire soon. When I started shooting for her almost 20 years ago, 17 years ago, yes. She finally just retired, and she was a machine.
She was amazing person. Yes, definitely. Definitely a wonderful, wonderful human being. So, but they, there's kind of the joke in the industry that they don't really retire. They just die. To the point that, because you can be, as long as you have your wits about you, right? You could be 75 and run some contracts, and people at that point, they're just calling you. You're not prospecting, right? Like, these deals are just coming. Why not make money? Like, so I respect and I get it. It's just, we're ready. We're ready for this section to go ahead and enjoy their lives and not die as an agent, right? And an active agent. Okay, so I've got some really cool slides from Family Reunion. So these are going to be, if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to get some of these visually. I want to caveat, this is KW research. They pull all of their research mainly from like NAR and all of the good sources. I'm allowed to share this information, so it's not like I'm not allowed. They give us this information at KW, which is great. So we can understand our market, our economy, what is happening. So we've kind of gone over what first quarter is. Not quite where we wanted it to be, but nobody's panicked yet. Okay. We're still seeing new listings come on the market. We're seeing some inventory rise. We're going to have some price corrections. It's going to happen. Depending on where you're at. If you're in the Midwest, Northeast, we still are so low on inventory that who knows how those price corrections will come out. But you're seeing price corrections in Florida, California, Texas, and places like that. I think Austin had a 16% price correction, which was probably fair at the end of the day. You know, prices that's another thing we'll just talk about. Like, we are still up there in prices. So we're going to hit these numbers. I'm going to kind of flow through them quick. They'll have some visuals if you watch this on YouTube. So we look at annual home sales just in general. When we did our kind of 2025 forecast, we talked about a 4.5 million units, right? And that we might see. And they're kind of maybe saying 4.2 now. Again, they're just adjusting these numbers a little bit. That could change. Again, there's some unpredictability. We don't know. And sometimes it's better to think smaller than bigger. But what I want people to understand is when they look at this graph, like this graph goes from 1990 to 2025. Okay. And when we look at this, we're looking at annual home sales. So in 2007, we had 7.1 million home sales. And then what happened?
Yeah. There come the crash.
We crashed. We went down to 6.5 the next year, 5.0, 4.1, 4.3, 4.2, 4.7. So then in 13, right, 2013, it's when I entered the market, we really started seeing things getting back up. And we had what I call the great years, where we sold 5.3 million, roughly 5.5 million for the next 5-6 years. And we had interest rates of 3%. Okay. So call it 2021, the height of the market, we sold 6.1. So that was the fourth best year in real estate since 1990. Okay. Then we start falling off the cliff, right? 2022, we dropped to 5.0. We drop 1 million units. Boom. 23, 4.1. So the cliff is done.
More.
Yeah. So what Gary's been saying, and he's been saying this since the end of last year, we've hit bottom, right? We hit it. We did 4.1 in 23. We did 4.1 in 24. So they're projecting again now 4.2. So I still think we're going to land maybe anywhere up to that 4.5 number. Just looking at some other data from NAR, but we'll see. Okay. So the problem is when you hit the highs and then you go to the troughs to the low, you don't immediately shoot back out, right?
Right.
You got to build back out. So when you see this graph, you're going to see that if we had 2026 projected on here, we'd see kind of that trough back out. So the sentiment is, even though with everything going on, we're coming out, we're back on the upswing. And there could be some local markets that have tiny bubbles, I guess I'll call them, right? That pop. That, again, it's very local, but generally that way. Now, home prices, we are still not almost 10% above the trend line. So the trend line is that homes appreciate about 4% every year. That's your trend line. That's why real estate is your best investment, right? So we are still 10% above that with an annual median home price of $418,000. $418,000. It's crazy. In 2006, it was 222, and that was 21% above the trend line then. Okay. So this trend line has been moving up. Okay. So again, that goes to the sales volume and the dollars and the cents that even though units might be down, the volume's up. And so we balance out in our pocketbooks, I guess, from an agent perspective. Okay. Which means then if prices are still going up, what are sellers willing to do?
Willing to sell.
They're willing to list their houses. What does that mean to you, Todd, for WOW?
Yeah, it means we're shooting those listings.
Right.
If you have the relationship with that agent that gets the listing, sentiment is high, like Shannon said, that means they're confident. I don't know about you all, but I feel confident in the businesses, right? Like I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Shannon pitched me an org chart. I had a lot more dots on. I'm like, let's do it. 3 years ago, I'm like, no, let's cut everything.
Yes.
Agents are feeling that too. So
yes, they are. They are. All right, mortgage rates, right? That equation part of this. Projection is 6.5%. That will kind of be. So some of this is going to depend on what the administration does. So, right, we'll have to see that. But again, a 6 to 7% is normal.
I was going to say that's average, isn't it?
It is historically, this is crazy, Craig, and you can see this on this chart when I send them to you. If we go back from 1972 to 2023, 2024, the historical average is 7.72.
7.7? Wow.
7.7. Now, if you take it from 1990,
okay,
it's 6%. So because what you're cutting out is the early 80s when we had 17% interest rates.
I remember my parents talking about those crazy high rates.
Yeah. Most of the baby boomers bought their houses at those interest rates.
Yeah.
That's when they bought them, right? So that's what they're kind of predicting. Then 6.5%, again, we'll see. And then Canada, you're not left out. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So they kind of saw the same thing we did. Canada market flows a lot with ours. So in 21, they had height of their sales. Actually, the best year they had since 1990, at least historically, they were at their high. They fell off a cliff like we did. So in 2023, they did I think it's 444 million, I think is what this shows in millions. And then in 24, they did 490. So now the Canadian market is fluctuating really interesting right now. And unfortunately, that is due to some unpredictably with some tariffs and talk and markets and things like that. They predict that to settle down. But definitely in Canada, get to your local stats and kind of figure out what's going on in your local market. They don't give us a projection for Canada for 25. So I don't have a number that they're thinking of. And I think it's just the data that they get. They don't put out enough data to make a projection. But their mortgage rates are right with us. They're at about 6.7. So they're following our map. Now those are higher for them too. So those are still, but the lowest it looks like Canada got was like 4.7. They didn't get as low as we did with our interest rates. So,
So it's not as conditioned. Canadian buyers aren't as conditioned to expect a low. Like you all in Canada got out of the idea that like, hey, I can't get an ultra low rate. You got out of that quicker because you never got really that low of a rate.
Yeah. And historically, I mean, when you see this, like 1991, they had 11%. And that fluctuated really all the way till 2008 between 9% and 7%. And then they went down into the 5s and the 4s, the grand years, we'll call them, from 2012 to, 2022. And then in 23, they bumped to 6.7 and 24, 6.7. So yeah, interest rates a little bit more stable, I guess you want to say, there than they were here. So inventory will be a thing for them if they're starting to see inventory pick up. So again, 5 to 7 months is a great spot to be. Some of their markets might have more than that. And remember, prices affect inventory, right? Our inventory, I was looking up here in Dayton, Ohio, in Springboro. There was 44 houses for sale in all of Springboro.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
44. Do you know how many of those were in the 200,000 and 300,000 range?
Under
Not
10.
Many.
I was
Not
just
many. Not many. So that those are things to think about too, as you think about these numbers. So Canada Canada Inventory. Sorry, guys. I'm not trying to butcher Canada's name here. They are looking at, they do theirs in percentage. It's a little bit different. So they have hold on, this is a really cool slide. They are in a balanced market per the Canadian percentage. So their balanced market is 40 to 60%, and they're at 54% inventory. So they could be trending to a seller's market. It could be trending that way. Now let's talk about that, because we've been in a buyer's market. I'm sorry, but they could be trending to a buyer's market.
To a buyer's market. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we've been living in a seller's market for so long, most of our media people don't even know what to do in a buyer's market.
Yeah. Yeah. There's great potential in both. It's just a different pitch.
It's a different pitch, Todd. So let's chat through that real quick. What is that pitch?
Yeah. So right now, when you're sitting, you're talking about it right now, an agent, it's tough. It's more tough to get listings. Okay. Because there's not enough. Again, remember, the boomers are holding on to them. It's competitive. Agents want listings, like Shannon mentioned. They want listings and luxury listings. And so now they are selling our services to a potential home seller, saying, hey, please use me to sell your home. I'm going to help you get top dollar, few days on market, least amount of concessions, things like that. And I'm going to market it so well with these photos, video, drone, 3D, that we get the exposure you need. Okay, let's flip the switch and say, now it's easy to get listings. Yeah, I know some of you are like, what does that even mean? Like, how is it easy to get listings? There was a time when it was super easy and the listings were like crazy. All right. So it's a buyer's market. When there's too much of something and not enough people to buy it, it's a buyer's market. So all you have to do is you have to go in to your agent. You have to say, hey, I know you need to sell these properties. I know your homeowners are breathing down your neck because you haven't sold their property, and they need to sell it so they can transition to a bigger home, a smaller home, a different part of the country, whatever it may be, a different school district. And your sellers are mad now because they've been on the market for 120 days. You're going to say, hey, do you want to help your houses stand out? Do you want more people looking at them? I can help you do that with fabulous photos and videos. We'll get people to fall in love with the listings online, which will lead to you selling your properties.
Yes. The marketing piece, right? Like, it is kind of interesting. A wise man once told me, many things, but this wise man said to me that, when it's a seller's market, people aren't as picky about the agent they choose because they feel confident that it's going to sell.
Right. Mm-hmm.
In a buyer's market, people get really picky about the agent they choose.
Oh, yes.
And we see that in stats. Some of the last stats we can chat through is just from NAR and their home buyers and home sellers survey that they do. And we see that. We see kind of all of this stuff in the numbers. It's really crazy that this all kind of correlates back over to how people buy, how people sell, and what they're looking at. And one stat that we see is that right now, 70% of people only interview one agent, whether they're buying or selling.
Wow.
Right? So
Huge.
Such an interesting thing. But if we slip into this buyer's market, they will interview more because they're concerned about their house selling and they want to make sure they pick the right agent. So being able to present as an agent in a listing presentation, how you market their home, we know as agents, price rules, right? Price is going to really set the activity. Right. But home sellers believe it's marketing. So you have to come in with a strong marketing plan and show them. And that is where media companies absolutely
I love that.
All right, really quickly, let's hit this. Website features, okay? This is what the consumers told on the survey that they liked about a website feature from an agent.
Oh, interesting. Okay, what is it? Okay.
So 96% think photos are very / somewhat useful. Okay. So 96%, you better have good photos now, right? We're past the days of cell phone pictures. Let's go. Okay. 87% find floor plans to be useful.
Oh, 87% fun.
87%. I thought that was a very interesting stat with the floor plans. Virtual tours. Now, I have tried to ask NAR for years and years and years about virtual tours because they won't dictate what that means, right? Like they won't tell me, does that mean it's a video? Does that mean it's a 3D tour? They just say virtual tours, 75%. And the big one, drum roll.
Here we go. Begins with a V.
Yeah. Video. 62%.
Nice.
Hey, we're finally seeing those video numbers, you know. Now, I would argue where video really matters as an agent is a lot of branding stuff too, right? There's a lot of opportunity in branding. So in 2024, 88% of buyers used an agent to buy, right? 5% used a builder, and 7% was the previous owner. Okay. Now, on the sell side, 90% of people used an agent to buy, 6%
to sell.
Or to sell. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Too many buy sell words. To sell. 6% were FSBOs, true for sale by owners.
And that seems like it's down.
It is down. Historically, it's 8%.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is an interesting topic that got brought up on our Facebook group. I don't know if you saw that question. People were asking, so there was I can't remember who posted. Somebody posted about like FSBOs and doing work for them and charging them. I think they said a FSBO found them online and placed an order and so forth.
And that's for sale by owner.
Yes, for sale by owner. Thank you. Yes, yes. And so they were talking about like, do I charge them more? Do I this? Do I that? Like that, you know, kind of just that age old topic that we talked about servicing for sale by owners. And I just kind of made a comment in there and said, hey guys, there's a lot to think about with this, but historically it's 8% that we have in our market. It's not a lot, right? And if you think about it, half of that percentage knows who they're selling to.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So cut it in half.
50. It's like
not a lot of potential.
53%, I think, for sale by owners already know who they're selling to. So yeah, so you're talking about 4% and 6%, 3% of the market is a for sale by owner. So I think as a business, you just make the decision that you'll either shoot for them or you won't, you know. And I said in there, you know, always think about the agent relationship because I think that's the most important thing. Me as an agent, I truly appreciate WOW's stance on for sale by owners because I know I'm not going to go compete with a for sale by owner who has beautiful marketing from WOW Video Tours. So that's my opinion as coming from an agent. But as every company, just make your decision. Either you're going to do them or not. And just know it's really not that big part of your business. It, you know, I would say Airbnbs and that kind of stuff is more.
Just to give everybody real quick, just kind of some insight, because I get asked all the time, like, hey, what is WOW doing on this? What our stance is at WOW is we will not shoot for sale by owner. We just will not. We're sorry. We only work with realtors. We understand the importance. We see the value. We're so sorry. We won't work with for sale by owners. And I will tell you that over the years, we've lost some jobs. And it's been a few jobs, literally. People call us and we tell them. And we actually have some homeowners that call us and we say no, and then they leave us bad reviews on Google because they're not happy that we don't shoot for them. And I'm not offended. I'm actually, I don't mind that. I don't like to upset anybody, but if they want us, great. They can't have us. But I can't tell you the number of times that I've pulled that out of my pocket and I've mentioned it to a realtor, a broker, a group of realtors, and they all go, "What? Really? Oh, that is really nice." And that shows our allegiance to the realtors. I can think of some names. We just talked of a realtor that used me 15, 18 years ago that finally retired. She sent everything to us. Even after I stopped shooting, she sent everything to us. She never thought about anyone else. Why would I ever go shoot for her potential? The sellers, the homeowners. It doesn't make any sense. I just don't feel right with that. Our realtors are loyal to us. I feel like we have to be loyal to them to not go around them and to make $250 or $300, whatever it may be.
Yes. Yes. I think, and I've told you that for years, I think that was a great stance to make. Because again, at the end of the day, it's not a lot of business. Um, Although we did have that one guy, remember, that thought he was protected class as a for sale by owner. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
he was super, like he was going to sue us over a protected class. I'm like, it's no different than you go like, why can't you go shoot at a private country club or a member?
Yeah.
Like, no, you just aren't. No, like
That was funny. I'll never forget that story with that guy. And you might upset somebody, but you're going to win with the realtors. And you can even say something, like, we just feel that a homeowner is going to get more because they do. Okay. Homeowners make more money if they use an agent, even with paying commission. It's proven in the numbers. That's through the NAR buyer and seller report. You can look at it. They always have a number in there. I think last year it was like $75,000 more that you make, like, on average, by using an agent. So it's having that conviction to say, hey, we just truly believe like the best thing you could do as a home seller is use an agent. So I think it's awesome. All right, to kind of wrap this up, it's really a tale of inventory. It really is. Watching the inventory, paying attention to the inventory. The inventory tells a lot of stories. Are you in the buyers, the sellers, kind of a balanced market? Remember, we never stay in a balanced market for long. So we hit a balanced market, we'll trend one way or the other. And you'll know as soon as we start trending, it'll be that month. So it kind of goes, people ask me, when is it a great time to buy a house, or when is it a great time to sell a house? And I say, when you need to.
Yeah.
It's when you need to. So don't wait. You can't predict interest rates. And if you look at the appreciation line, we're at 10%, still above the trend line for appreciation. So that means you're making money the moment you buy that house. So get with the realtor. If you're listening to this and thinking about buying, if you're the media company, these new listings are coming. So get in there. If you're in Canada, maybe be prepared to go to a buyer's market and shift your marketing to your people. We need to start getting some stats across the world. So I need to connect with some of these media companies that are in the UK and get some data. So I'll start to work on that. But I love bringing this stuff to you guys. I love talking about it. It's very interesting, and understanding the people in the industry that we work with will always help us grow our media businesses, period.
100%. Yes. Yeah. Shannon, thank you so much. That was fabulous. So insightful. If any of you have any questions, feel free to just post them below down in the chat. You can also email us, hello@Spiro. Just say, hey, Shannon, I got a question. You talked about this one thing, and I think I kind of have it, but I have a question. Just email us, hello@Spiro.media. We'll be happy to help you from there, because we want to make sure that this is in your head, because then when you go build those relationships, it's so much easier. I can tell you, Shannon's educated me so many things over the years, and I go say them to a realtor, and it just helps build. The realtor goes like, oh, wait a minute, you understand me. It's like this cheat code. Like when you speak as though you know and care for the person across the room from you, they go, oh, that's really considerate that this person took the time to understand me and my industry.
Yep. Yeah. And that goes for any industry, right? There's understanding who you're working with. If you're wanting to get in with the big brokerage, research that brokerage, research the people. I say be that stalker, right? Stalk them and understand who they are, so that when you go meet them, you can build rapport faster. You can, build that relationship quicker. Those are some of those cheat codes there. But at the end of the day, like, we're all in it to win it. The agents want to make money. They want to list homes. They want to help home sellers and home buyers. I call it matchmaking. I think it's the best matchmaking in the world. And they need us to do this. And so have that be a relationship where we work together and we provide the support to them. One more thing too, is if you are a Spiro user and you haven't seen it yet, I want you to know that on our YouTube channel, we now have the classes that Todd and I teach monthly. We have them there. So if you're interested, and we teach the same classes every month, but I can promise you every class is different, as we have different users on and we get different questions. Todd and I are not very outlined when we teach. We kind of allow the class to go where it needs to go. The topics are there, but please watch those. And if you have any suggestions for classes, put them in the comments so we can bring those classes to you.
Yes, we are happy. We're just honored to bring that to you. It's exciting for us. And so we're happy. It's Spiro, non-Spiro related, whatever it may be, ask us. We're happy to, we love connecting with you all. It's such a vibrant and just exciting community that we're proud to be a part of. So please use us. We truly mean that. And leave a comment or email us, hello@spiro.media.
Awesome. Well,
Shannon, thanks for another great,
Yeah, happy Easter, Todd. And thanks for having me on.
Happy Easter to you as well. We'll see you in another quarter, maybe sooner.
Maybe sooner.
All right, everybody. Hey, that's going to do it for today. Lots of great information. Thank you for spending some time with us. We do honor and value your time. If you have Spiro questions, the pink chat bubble. Another thing that I should mention, because this is the Spiro podcast, if you've been thinking about Spiro for a while, we do have a kind of done for you program.
Yes,
it's our white glove service. Yeah.
We actually, you know what? Nick might kill me for this.
Oh, okay. Well, let's try it.
I made a decision. You might kill me for this.
Well,
I made
let's
a decision
do it live here.
yesterday. Yeah, let's do it live. I love it. So if you are a rep launch student and you are trying to launch your business and you are struggling or need help with Spiro, we are going to take the program Todd's about to tell you about and give you a 50% coupon. So Todd, tell us. Yeah,
okay, we did that.
Yeah,
okay,
we did that.
We did. Okay, great. No, I love it. We can help more people. So
yes.
if you part of setting up a system is you have to set up the system, and that's any system. But if you come into Spiro, you have to put all your info in there. And if you're like, hey, ain't nobody got time for that, whatever the YouTube video was, we have time for you. And it's free to you. The only thing that we ask you to do is we just ask you to load your system with $500 worth of credits. Okay. And then we'll do it all. You commit to us, we'll commit to you. So we'll build your order pages. We'll do everything. We'll do a training with you. We'll get you launched. And now we're all finding out for the first time, which I'm excited about, rep launch user. So rep with Eli Jones. If you would like that and you're in that program, message us and you'll have that for, instead of loading 500 in there, you'll just load 250 in there. Yeah. And then you can use those credits however you would like them.
Yeah. Yeah. So we want to give them a helping hand and help them as they're, spending money to grow their business. We understand that. And so the 250 credits, we hope they go through very quickly, but giving them a little bump up. And Lovey and the onboard team is happy and excited to help everyone get into the system.
Yay, that's great. Oh, such good news, Shannon. Thanks for that.
Good News Friday.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Hey, that's going to wrap it up. We appreciate spending time with us. Please take time to be thankful for the blessings that you have and take a breath. We'll see you on a week.
Thank you for joining us for the Spiro Podcast, Managing Your Real Estate Photography and Videography Business. This is a production of Spiro and Wow Video Tours. You can find out more about Spiro's real estate media business management software at our website, spiro.media.